Hello, all of my magical friends, and welcome. I have been very inconsistent on this channel, but I'm going to start to take it a different direction. I would like for this to be more of a magical space where I can kind of track my own learning process through my witchy adventure. Adventure, that's not the right word, whatever, my witchy learnings. So we are going to transition smoothly from books to witchiness. So I'm going to do a current witchy reads sort of video for you today. And if you like books, if you like spirituality, witchcraft, any of that, and you want to come along with me on this journey, feel free to subscribe down below and click the like on the video. So we're going to start out with what I just finished reading, and that is Moonology by Yasmin Boland. Yasmin Boland. And you can see I've got like lots of little sticky tabs for place marks. I bought this used. I buy most of my books used. I wouldn't say hardly ever, about 25% of the time I buy books new. I usually always try to find them used. Not only is it a better price, but you also get to keep a book alive and it's less wasteful, and it makes up for the large bookcases that I have of things. So my thoughts on this. It's okay. I know a lot of people on Goodreads were complaining about the fact that Yasmin was constantly referencing her website, but I don't have a problem with that whatsoever because this is meant to be used as a practical guide. I feel like it's more of a resource, hence like a reference, hence why I have all these tabby tabs. I'm a child, but yeah, so I don't have a problem with that because there's no way that a book is going to be able to tell you throughout its entire lifespan of when the moon is where and the whatnots. So it makes sense to have a reference to not only her website, but there are other websites that she references as well for you to go to. So it's not just her stuff. But I will say, this is just like straight astrology. So like astrology working with the moon. And it says that. And I knew that. And I don't have a strong like pull towards astrology whatsoever. And I still bought it. So I had looked at this book multiple times at Barnes & Noble, and that's like where I go to actually like leaf through the pages and see what I want, and then usually I'll buy it used. And looking at it in Barnes & Noble, I knew that this wasn't right for me. But I kept going back to it, and I finally found like a decently priced used copy, and I went ahead and got it anyway. So I'm very, very interested in working with the moon. I feel very pulled to the moon. So I'm going to try it out for a few months and see if I like this, and then I'll probably end up gifting it again to someone else just because it's very astrology based and I'm not super attuned to that. So we'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. But I am such a clown that after I bought the book and realized that it wasn't really for me, I went ahead and bought the Moonology oracle cards that go with it. Okay, so I know that this is a book thing, but I just have to throw this in there. And I did buy this new. And I wanted to have it as sort of like a focal point for when I'm working for the moon. But like since I bought this. I have seen other like decks that I think would work better for me. So I just want to show you like my issue with this. Okay, so this is the New Moon in Capricorn card. And sorry, I'm shaky. But you get it. It's pretty basic. And now let me find the full moon. There it is. It's like right there. It was ready for me to talk shit about it. Okay, here is the full moon Capricorn card. It's basically the same thing, just with a different moon behind it. So it wasn't a super expensive deck, and I will get use out of it. But I feel like whenever it comes to moon decks, there are more, and there's more than just the new and full moon in each sign in this as well. They've got other things. It's just I was expecting something more creative, and it just looks like there wasn't a ton put into this, and that's kind of sad. So I now have both of these. So I will definitely get some use out of them, but I don't know for how long. And that's my overall thought on that. Okay, so on to what I am still currently reading, because these are both much larger books. So the first one is Celtic Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston. And again, if I mispronounce any names, whatever. Okay, so this is more of an academic, like historical look at Celtic mythology and legends, which I desperately needed, because in addition to working with the moon, I would also like to work with some of my Celtic ancestors. And so it's like trying to figure out the actual mythology and legends from some of the more like basic intro to magic, Celtic magic books. It's like a crazy puzzle that I can never figure out. So while this is a very academic take, and it's like, I mean, it's dense. It's taking me a while to get through this, but it's very well written. I am about, so this is what I have already read. This is what I have left to read. It's like thick, and the pages are thin. Like there's a lot in here, and I feel like it's very in-depth. It goes between the differences of this is what was written from the Christian perspective, this is what we think that it actually meant to the Celts. So it's very interesting, and I bought this because I had gotten this, which I thought would give me the information in here, and it kind of does, but not as in-depth, and I need more in-depth. So this is Celtic Myth and Magic, Harnessing the Powers of the Gods and Goddesses by Edain McCoy. And again, I have some tabby tabs because it really is more of a reference. They have some introductory stuff that is like good for magical ritual workings, but I needed the background information. So for me, this is like a prerequisite to read before this. So I had started this, I stopped because I realized I needed more, so I bought this guy. So we are currently reading that. And then the other book that I am currently reading is Natural Magic, Spells, Enchantments, and Personal Growth by Pamela Ball. And she is another author who has like a ton of amazing books. And what stood out to me, I've been highlighting them this one because the pages are nice and thick instead of doing tabs. And also there's just so much in here, I feel like I would have a tab on every single page. So what was interesting to me was the amount of detail that she went into various magical practices. And I really respected that. There were a few things that I had to straight up cross out in highlighter, so you can still read them, but it's just like a cross out for myself to know that like this is not factually true, this is the opinion of the author, but it was very few and far between. And you can tell without knowing that much about her, I feel like she has a very strong Wicca background, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's just the nature of the game. But, okay, so I actually opened to one of the pages. So, talking about witchcraft, in it says, like voodoo, the craft or witchcraft should never be confused with Satanism, the outright worship of Satan. The true witch has nothing to do with such worship, even though there are some Satanists who will wrongfully call themselves witch. Okay, so that's not true. Not all Satanists, actually, like, worship Satan as a deity. Some do, and some Satanists do actually they do actually perform witchcraft. You don't have to worship certain deities to perform witchcraft, or not worship some. So I crossed through like parts of that with the highlighter, just because it was like, wow, there's a lot of bias in there. But everything before that, I felt like she took a lot of time to really discuss like some of the important facts and differences between different religions. Like there's an entire section on African voodoo, Native American tribes, and again, like talking about they are not all this way, but these are like some of the similarities between them. So that's a big chunk of the first part. After that, I kind of started to lose momentum because that was just super interesting. So now I'm trying to find where I am. I save all of my okay, that's where I am. Okay, so I have read this much. I have this much left. So about at the same place as where I am on Celtic myths and legends. There's like 10 pages on meditation that's coming up next, and it's just like, I'm not super interested about reading about meditation for the 30th time. Oh gosh, yeah, it's a lot. And then there's a lot of pages about prayer, and then we go on to symbols and shapes, shrines and sacred spaces, incense. So, I mean, this is a great resource, I believe. I haven't finished it yet, but I would highly, highly recommend just go in with a bit of skepticism, be ready to disagree, and also, I don't know a lot about African voodoo. I don't know a lot about shamanism. So there could have been things in here that were incorrect that I just don't know about. Similar to, I've done a little bit more research on Satanism, so like that stood out immediately as something that was incorrect. So yeah, that is what I am currently reading. So I'm very excited to talk about what is coming up next on my reading list. So this is let me fix the stack. Okay, so I'm actually going to talk about this one next. Okay, so I recently bought this 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, some days ago, at Barnes & Noble. And again, I don't buy new very often, but I saw this and it just looked amazing. So, Witchcraft and Secret Societies of Rural England, the Magick of Toadmen, Plough Witches, Mummers, and Bonesmen by Nigel Pennick. Again, I really love historical accounts of witchcraft. That is something that is very, very interesting to me as someone who likes to study a religion in its totality. That is just something, it sounds so good. And it's not super thick. Like, it's a nice sized book, and it looks like it's going to be a nice little taste of all of these different types of witches and wise men and wise women. So I'm just really, really excited about this one. Like, I saw it and immediately had to grab it. So that is one that I'm going to be reading shortly. Actually, now that I'm done with Moonology, I might pick this one up next, but I don't know. Let me know if I should read this one next, or if I should go ahead and jump into Ellen Dugan's Natural Witchery, Intuitive, Personal, and Practical Magic. So I did buy this one used. That's why it's like, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little bit bent up, but that doesn't bother me. It just means that it's a book that was well loved. So this is an introductory book, but definitely with more detail paid to the natural side of witchcraft. It does have an entire chapter on the psychic cycles of the moon, which I feel like I could have gotten instead of wasting my time on this, because I feel like this is what I actually wanted. It has an entire chapter on candle magic, which I also love. Like this should have been the first book I think that I ever read. I feel like this should have been the first book that I read. And this is also another one that I bought because I started reading Cottage Witchery by Ellen Dugan. And they're so cute. They're like wider but shorter. But I started reading Cottage Witchery, Natural Magic for Hearth and Home by Ellen Dugan, because I thought, like, for sure I was drawn to the cottage witch path. And I did not realize that I needed more of a basis before getting into this one. I do think that this is beginner friendly, but just for me and the way that I learn and the way that I practice, I definitely needed this one first. So, I am very excited to start reading this book, but I think because I'm already working with natural magic and it is a basic overview book as well, I think I'm going to switch over to this guy. But I'm also reading a historical book already. I don't know. I have to read like 3 books at a time because I can only read like 1 chapter. And then I need to let my brain breathe and then like switch to a different book. It's like switching to a different show. Anyways, so that is what I am currently reading. Or will be reading. Now, books that I am unloading. I only have 1 right now. We'll see if Moonology is a part of this stack in the future. This is the Practical Witches Spellbook for Love, Happiness, and Success by Cerridwen Greenleaf, illustrated by Mara Penny. This is a very pretty book. I have absolutely no use for this. So I wanted to get this for inspiration. I never take spells exactly as is for my own use. I always take them and rework them in some way to make them more personal in my own voice and for my own intentions. I just don't have any use for this. It's like the spells are so specific that I can't get on board with any of them. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous. So if you want this just for like some quick reference, because it does have some quick reference, and I'm going to show you, like, that's one of the illustrations. And then I really like the moon one too. Let me see if I can find that. Oh yeah, that's super pretty. So house magic for a happy home. Again, I was feeling like super tied into this style of magic, but I want to be able to craft my own stuff. And after reading this, as a Conjuring with Candles chapter, so again, like, this felt like it was going to be right for me. Okay, moon spells and celestial magic. Again, this felt, that's just the artwork, that's like the actual words. So it felt like this was going to be perfect for me. And it's so pretty and aesthetic. And look at how cute she is. I have no use for this. I don't go to it. I don't even look at it like from time to time just for funsies. So I am going to pass this on to someone like in my local community and see if they can get use out of it. Maybe it'll be like a super beginner book for someone who knows absolutely nothing about witchcraft, because that the only person who this might be for. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of talking some smack just because I bought it and I think I read it through from cover to cover when I first got it and then never touched it again. Anyways, so that is all of the bookish things that I have to talk about right now. Please join me on my witchcraft learning journey. And yeah, I will be recording some more videos after this and hopefully we'll have them up on a weekly basis. Wednesday, that just feels right to me. And yeah, so let me know if there's anything that you want me to talk about. Let me know what your current witchy reads are. If there's anything that you kind of want to like slam, if you're unloading something that a lot of people are hyping up or anything, just talk to me about your witchy reads and we'll comment and we'll go back and forth in the chat. All right, thank you so much for joining me today and have a lovely, magical day.